A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. Glad that you're with me on the program today, where we are going to be talking a little about constitutional carry. Specifically, constitutional carry in the state of Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis has been asked this question several times over the past few months. Do you support constitutional carry? Every time he said, yeah, listen, if it gets to my desk, I'll sign it. And yet, it has not gotten to his desk. In fact, in the regular session of the legislature, constitutional carry didn't even get a hearing. There was a House bill that was filed by State Representative Anthony Sabatini. Couldn't even attract a Senate co-sponsor. We've talked about this before, by the way, and I know that there are some Republican lawmakers who have issues with Representative Sabatini, who does not appear to have ever heard about you attract more flies with honey than vinegar. He's called out his fellow Republicans for being rhino sellouts for not supporting his constitutional carry bill. But again, I think that this does go beyond, at least a little beyond, just a personality conflict with Sabatini because, well, let's get into it. So DeSantis was asked, just I guess on Tuesday. This is from WLRN, which I believe is the public radio station in Miami, South Florida. And they say that DeSantis reaffirmed on Tuesday during an appearance in Fort Myers Beach that he expects to eventually sign into law a proposal known as constitutional carry, but he wouldn't put a timeline on when that could occur. He said, quote, in terms of when, I don't know. The legislature's got to pass it. I've said for years I would sign it. I don't know if they have the votes now, but I know that this is something that a lot of people are going to be looking at as we go forward into this next election, meaning the 2022 election, the gubernatorial election that is taking place right now. Ron DeSantis is going to be the Republican nominee. The Democratic nominee is going to be either Charlie Crist, the former Republican governor turned former Democratic congressman, and Nikki Fried, the Democrat who is Florida's agriculture commissioner, who has been accused of slow-walking concealed carry licenses during the initial stage of the COVID shutdown. She has called for a repeal or at least called for making it easier for localities in Florida to pass their own local gun control laws, which, of course, would mean removing the statewide firearms preemption law. Nikki Fried, is trying to, I think she's trying to court gun owners with this new lawsuit against the Biden administration, challenging the rules on marijuana use by gun owners who have medical marijuana cards. Again, I don't think that that's going to. So I'm fully supportive of the lawsuit, but I don't think that that's actually going to sway a lot of gun owners, particularly, again, when constitutional carry is sort of looming out there as a possibility, which raises the possibility that Governor Ron DeSantis, I don't want to say is slow-walking constitutional carry himself, but that he's playing a little politics here, as politicians do. And the reason why I say this is because when Ron DeSantis, the bill that was signed into law earlier this year, they got Disney all ticked off. The critics call it the Don't Say Gay bill, even though it's not about that. It's about teaching sexually explicit sex ed materials to kindergartners through third graders, right? A position, by the way, that a lot of Americans, according to a new poll, agree with. They don't believe that this type of stuff should be taught in school, particularly not to those of a tender age, right? But when Disney decided that it was going to go woke and it was going to push back against this bill, what did Ron DeSantis do? Ron DeSantis said, all right, we're going to bring the legislature back. We're going to have a special session. We want to do redistricting, but we're going to talk about all the corporate giveaways that we've given Disney over the decades, including the Reedy Creek Improvement District, where Disney's been basically allowed to set up its own government in the Orlando area. And within hours after Ron DeSantis saying, hey, I want the legislature to take a look at this and to do something about it, The legislature had started to act, and very swiftly, by the way, approved in the House and the Senate legislation stripping Disney of that special status. So, to me, that wouldn't have happened had Governor DeSantis not called for it. Governor DeSantis issued the call. The legislature responded. So when Governor DeSantis says, well, I don't know if the votes are there for constitutional carry or not, I kind of question that a little bit, because I think the votes are there, particularly if Governor DeSantis decides to apply some political pressure. But I don't think that pressure is being applied right now. And I'm not even sure this is really about the 2022 election, as much as it might be about 2024 and a potential presidential run. Ron DeSantis, look, I mean, again, I'm looking at this just purely from a political lens here. All right. Not in terms of what a politician should do, but just in terms of how politics operates. And right now, Ron DeSantis running for re-election, I don't think from a political perspective, he necessarily needs the legislature to pass constitutional carry this year. Again, he is got widespread support among the Florida electorate. He is already waging a high-profile fight with a woke corporation. From a political standpoint, does DeSantis need to pass constitutional carry this year? No. It probably is enough from a political standpoint for him to say, listen, I want to get this done. I don't know when it's going to be, but when the bill gets to my desk, rest assured, I will sign it. Keep in mind, again, from a political perspective, we've already had 5 states this year adopt constitutional carry. So Florida being the 6th, it would be big news, don't get me wrong. But it might get a little lost in all of the other, pro-Second Amendment and political news that is going to happen between now and November. 2023, on the other hand, most of the states that are going to be easy lifts for constitutional carry have already adopted constitutional carry. Governor Pete Ricketts of Nebraska had a piece yesterday where he talked about how, listen, it's only a matter of time because Nebraska was one of those places where it stalled. You've got a Republican-controlled unicameral legislature. You've got a Republican governor, but there was still an issue in Nebraska. So Nebraska, they're going to come back next year. They're going to try to overcome the objections of the Omaha Police Department and anti-gun Democrats in the state Senate, which is what scuttled the constitutional carry bill this year. They basically wanted a carve out for Omaha that would have kept the gun registration requirement in place. So you still have to obtain a government permission slip in order to exercise your right to keep and bear arms. That was not acceptable to a majority of the legislature, but which is one of the reasons why constitutional carry, a weakened form of constitutional carry, could not get to Governor Ricketts' desk. So they'll try again next year, and hopefully they will manage to pass a strong constitutional carry bill that doesn't include any carve-outs. But other than Nebraska, the list of states with a Republican governor and a Republican-controlled legislature that has not passed constitutional carry is pretty small. Virginia, where I live, we've got 2 of the 3 components in place. We have a Republican governor now. We have a Republican-controlled House of Delegates, but there's still a 1-vote Democratic majority in the state Senate. And our state Senate elections don't happen until next year. So it's probably going to be 2024, knock on wood, that the Republicans take back control of the state Senate. It's probably going to be 2024 before constitutional carry has a shot in Virginia. Pennsylvania, the Republican-controlled legislature passed constitutional carry. It was vetoed by Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf. If Republicans are able to capture the governorship in the state of Pennsylvania this fall and keep control of the state legislature, then again, you would have the pieces in place in Pennsylvania to become a constitutional carry state. And that would be big news. But again, most of the easy lifts have already been lifted. We have 25 constitutional carry states around the country. So Ron DeSantis would have, I think, a lot, there'd be a lot more attention focused on constitutional carry passing in Florida in 2023 as opposed to this year when Florida would be one of a half dozen states to do so. So again, if Ron DeSantis, taking a look at this from a political perspective, is eyeing a presidential run in 2024, then really pushing for constitutional carry next year makes some political sense. You're already getting attention right now for your fight with Disney. You can have that fight with the gun control lobby a little bit later on down the road. Now, look, I could be wrong. This is just my analysis. Ron DeSantis could come out next week and say, hey, you know what? We are going to have a special session. I wanted to deal specifically with constitutional carry. I want to get this done before November. It could happen. But if there are political considerations being made here as to the timing of the fight for constitutional carry in Florida, again, from a political perspective, I see why it makes sense to push back until next year. Now, I'm not a politician. And I understand how politics works, but I don't necessarily like how politics works. So my personal opinion is that this should be done now. And that Governor DeSantis should, be as forthright and as strong in his support for constitutional carry as he was when he told legislators he wanted to get rid of Disney's special status, because they certainly responded quickly then. And I imagine that lawmakers in Florida would do the same if DeSantis actually applied that pressure. So we'll see what happens. Again, I would expect that when he says, I'm going to sign constitutional carry before I'm done as governor, that gives him some wiggle room, right? Gives him, I would say, at least until, let's say, March of 2025, if he does run for president. And of course, if he doesn't run for president, that gives him until 2028, if he wins re-election, to get constitutional carry across the finish line. I believe him when he says it's going to happen. But the idea that, it's just kind of up to the legislature, that one, yes, it is. It is up to the legislature ultimately. But, applying some pressure, I think, could have some results. And I just think it, from a political perspective, it might behoove, or at least as a campaign strategist, believe it might behoove him to wait just a little bit later. Mr. Crow, the rooster outside my window, he agrees as well. But by the way, with all of the politics being played, don't forget that this is an election year in Florida. We talked about, Charlie Crist and Nikki Fried are running in the Democratic primary. And by DeSantis bringing up this issue, even without constitutional carry passing, if this becomes, I'm really sorry for my rooster, if this becomes a political issue, and I expect it will be, that also, I think, benefits DeSantis in his current campaign. For instance, WLRN, the public radio station in Miami, South Florida, quoted Nikki Fried, who, by the way, is running about 11 points behind Charlie Crist. Okay, we get it, rooster. Nikki Fried's trying to make up some ground to Charlie Crist. She called DeSantis' statement about constitutional carry, quote, absurd political pandering from the governor of a state that has experienced some of the worst mass shootings in our country's history. Shootings that were not committed by concealed carry holders, I might add, right? Shootings that were not committed by individuals who were upstanding citizens. And when it comes to political pandering, Nikki Fried's lawsuit about medical marijuana and gun rights, filed, by the way, on 4/20. Well, let's just say it takes one to know one, right? And I think that's far more pandering than what we're seeing from DeSantis, because I actually expect DeSantis to follow through on this. When it comes to Nikki Fried's lawsuit, that could die on the vine very easily. Nikki Fried is running for governor. If she doesn't get the Democratic nomination, she's not running for agriculture commissioner. There really isn't a top-tier Democrat running for ag commissioner. So that's likely to revert back to the Republicans. And whether or not the next Republican ag commissioner is going to continue that lawsuit, I think it's very much an open-ended question. On the one hand, yes, there are medical marijuana users in Florida who currently are told under federal law you can't own a gun. That should be a problem, not just for Democrats, but Republicans as well. But, you get into anti-cannabis, anti-marijuana attitudes among Republicans, and who knows, maybe the next ag commissioner decides that that's not a lawsuit he wants to pursue. Constitutional carry, on the other hand, DeSantis is committed to this. And so I think at some point, either before the election or I think more likely next year, I think he's actually going to have to deliver on that. I'm not sure if Mr. Crow agrees or disagrees with that point, to be honest with you. You would think after 10 years I'd be fluent in rooster. But either way, again, when it comes to pandering, Nikki Fried is the master. And I think Ron DeSantis, while there might be some political calculations involved, in fact, I'm sure there are some political calculations involved, at the end of the day, I think I believe him when he says before he's done as governor, Florida will be a constitutional carry state. I just like to hurry that process up as much as we can. All right, listen, we're going to skip today's armed citizen story, our recidivist report, our good deed of the day. I just feel weird not having the headlines to show you. So again, this weekend, I'm going to be doing a little bit of research on this new software program that I'm using. And who knows, maybe on Monday, I'll even be able to use my old software program. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that is the case. But I would encourage you to visit BearingArms.com. Throughout the weekend, we're going to be updating the site with more of the latest Second Amendment news and information that you need to know about on a daily basis. Of course, a full lineup of stories on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday as well, we'll have new material for you. If you like what you see, you can always become a VIP subscriber. Just go to BearingArms.com/subscribe. Use the promo code GUNRIGHTS, and you can get a significant savings on your VIP membership. And because we really do appreciate your support for the independent pro-Second Amendment journalism that we do at Bearing Arms, we're going to give you exclusive content, analysis, news stories, things you won't find anywhere else, because your support does matter, and it does make a difference. So thank you. Until we talk again, have a great weekend. Be well. Be safe. And most importantly, be free.